every moment tests you. Every action defines you. This is the prestigious initiative where mindset becomes muscle and character becomes legacy. I'm Chris Bean, martial artist, coach, and relentless believer in growth. If you're here to sharpen your edge, lead with integrity, and build a life that echoes beyond your years, you're home. You can find the podcast on social media at PrestigiouSPod. You can find me at Chris Bean Official, and the email for the podcast is prestigiousinitiative@gmail.com. This is the Prestigious Initiative. Welcome. I'm Chris Bean. Today I'm joined by Sid Mohasseb, investor, inventor, professor, and entrepreneur philosopher. Sid's story is one of resilience, innovation, and unwavering commitment to making an impact. Today we're going to discuss evolving business models, leadership in the modern world, and why failing is the key to growth. So let's dive in. Sid, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, and thank you for having me.
So Sid, why would somebody want to listen to our conversation here today?
If people have a desire to evolve, to realize what I call their next best version, not the final version, that doesn't exist, then I think this would be a conversation that may provoke them and engage them to find their own unique path.
Okay, so that's interesting. The next best version, but not the final version, because that means that we are on a path upward towards the next level, but not necessarily the last level of success or the last version of ourselves.
I think God would get our last version and judge it, but prior to that, we're the judge, we're the jury, we are the art, we are the artist. And this illusion that there's some level of perfection, it's simply an illusion. It's a lot of stuff that people push with shallow books and motivational stuff, 1, 2, 3 instructions to get to nirvana. That in my opinion, doesn't exist. We are designed to evolve and thrive, not just to survive. And there's plenty of studies. There's one that I like from University of Texas that says about 500,000 years ago, we humans developed an inherent ability or desire to thrive and not just survive. And that exists in all of us. That drives us to exchange what we have with something better, and knowing that there is some level of risk that we may not get it. That could be that's the desire that's there. So it's not unique, or it's not untouchable or undefinable or final.
Well, I think that kind of piggybacks into about that same time period. People were trying to figure out that we could hunt and gather for today, but we can collect a little bit and have some for tomorrow. And, this tribe over here is not necessarily doing that. Maybe I can give some to them and they can help me as well. And then we can have a community as opposed to just my small family.
So that's exactly right. I mean, I use a very simple analogy. People discovered a blanket because it was cold in the cave. So they were surviving, but they just thought, hey, what the hell? I can sleep better if I have something that I pull over me. And they found that if I cut open some sort of an animal, I could use the furs and the skins to be warmer. That's thriving.
Yes. Well, okay. So speaking of thriving, Sid, your story is remarkable. You, from publishing your first book of poetry at age 14 to founding your first business at 21. So take me in. What are some key lessons that helped to shape that entrepreneurial journey for yourself?
So let me back up a little bit, because what I just described in terms of our ability or our desire or our inherent capability or talent to exchange what we have with something better, knowing that there is risk, is something that was described as an entrepreneur in the 1700s. This is the first time the word entrepreneur was used. Someone who has something who likes to exchange it with something better, of higher value, knowing that there is risk. Now, notice there's no definition of what we have, and there's no definition of what is better. We define both of those, and we measure the risk that we like to take to do this exchange. We may not get it. I want to be the king of all worlds, but hey, I can't get it. I like to be a great musician, but I have no talent. So there's a risk, right? I go to school and want to get a degree so I have a better life, but hey, I may get a degree, but I screw up my life. So if you take that definition as the entrepreneur, that entrepreneurial journey, you mentioned the early book that I published. I think, by the way, I think only my father read it, or he bought all the copies of it. But it's that desire which we all have. It's the desire that's in a child to change something into a better thing, to play with Legos and build something, and right. The key is recognition that we have that talent. The key is recognizing that we have a choice. So I think I started recognizing earlier on than some people may. And some kids actually figure it out and we kill it in them. Oh, what are you doing? Fall in line, do this. And our education system, and I'll be happy to talk about that, designs us to do a series of, we memorize a series of preconceived tasks. That's our education system. So, and I say that I'm an immigrant. I came from Iran about when I was 16 years old to the United States. And I believe, for example, every entrepreneur, every immigrant is an entrepreneur because they're exchanging what they have, a life that they think it would be better if they come to the United States or they go someplace else, anywhere. And they take a risk of coming here, not having a job, not having a family, missing their country, missing their, all that sort of stuff. So inherently, we're all entrepreneurs. Now, what drives us in a direction of growth, prosperity, or whatever you want to call it, a direction of change, a direction of evolution, is our recognition that we do have that choice. The choice is ours, and the choosing of what we have and what we want to exchange it with. So I hope that makes sense in terms of the context. Now, I want you to notice that the definition of an entrepreneur would fit every individual. We, as an individual, we are an enterprise. We go out there, exchange our time, and we make some money, or we get it from somewhere, or we bamboozle somebody, or however we do it. We get something into the pot. We figure out what the best way of spending this is: going out and having $1,000 dinner, or save enough to go take our kids to Disneyland. We decide what we do with it, and we take a risk if we spend all the money and or go have drugs, and we'll be hungry. And if we don't and we save it, we may have a higher chance of surviving longer and thriving longer and doing other things. We choose. So we are all an enterprise. We have our families. Those are people that are in our ecosystem that we exchange value with, and we grow and prosper and evolve in steps. Or we may have an enterprise that we call a business. Most entrepreneurial definitions these days look at an Elon Musk and say, well, he's an entrepreneur. And if he is an entrepreneur, I'm not one. It's been changed to focus on money as opposed to value. The definition has been muddied up. Now, some people out there may disagree with me, but I'm going to go to the original description of what an entrepreneur is. So it's not about money. It's about creating value and exchanging what we have with something better. I may be a musician and I have a talent. I exchange that with something better that maybe I decide. Is it fame? Is it money? Is it enjoyment of creating pieces of, is it a legacy? Whatever I decide. Or I may be LeBron James, or I may be Martin Luther King. Or I may be Mother Teresa who wants to solve the all ills of poverty. But I have some talents, I have some capabilities, and I'm exchanging that for what I like. So, what lessons do I have was your question, but I had to give you context before I do that. I think, and if you read all of the body of my work, we now have an academy called Anabasis Academy. All of the stuff that I've done is has come to this point. It's about our mindfulness and activating our mindfulness, awareness of our situations, of our emotions, of our talents, of our realities, of our surrounding, of our customers, of our friends, of our employees, of that awareness, constant awareness. This is not a Zen thing to go out there and say, okay, in a moment I am aware of my bias. That awareness, which includes listening, which includes recognizing our comfort zone, which includes our influences how we commit, how we have a courage, how we assess risk, and how we evolve. So if there's one thing that I would say has influenced or what I've learned is it is the awareness that we have a choice and that change is our best friend because it's the only friend, Chris, the only friend that gives you options.
All right, so I got so many different avenues I want to come at this from. You talked about having that innate talent that we all have, and you mentioned that at small kids they have this, whether it's writing or drawing or whatever it is that they have, they really like to do, that passion. It gets squashed out of them often by their parents. Sometimes hey, you're not going to be able to make money doing that. And if you look back at even when I was a kid, if I was doing this and I was making money doing this, my parents were like, don't waste your time with that, because podcasts and videos, all of that stuff wasn't around then. So to say that to your kids now is kind of tough because you don't know what the next age is going to be like. And with AI being evolving at the rate that it is, it's hard to say what the next realm of society is going to look like. But then you kind of bring that into education. And you're right, because I think from the way that I understand it, education system as we have it today was J.D. Rockefeller wanted factory workers. And so then he went and paid lots of money to the education, to the schools, to design a program that would give him factory workers. We all sit in line. We jump at the sound of a bell. We eat lunch at noon. We start at this time. We end at this time. All of that is predetermined, pre-exposing us to be factory workers. And the challenge that we have now in 2025, we don't have that many factories anymore. Those jobs aren't there anymore. So the education system is lacking in the next evolution, the next stage of what that next version of itself would be, because what it has been is not it.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. Now, it's not factory workers, it may be consultants. So it's not consultants, it's something else, right? What we have is an education system that we've built and it's worked. We are not number one in any category in the world of education. I've read 28 in math, I've read 136 in math. Let's face it, okay? But we are trained to have skills, but we're not trained to be skillful. Those two things are entirely different. Skillfulness has to do with awareness and mindfulness and application of those skills at the right time. I'll give you an example. We have thousands of leadership books, right? But you as a leader, don't adopt one method. You're not bureaucratic leader, you're not a democratic leader, you're not a this leader or that leader or that leader. There's a thousand different books, hundreds of different philosophies and approaches. At that moment, when you have to make a decision, you lead in your own unique, authentic way. Now, is it good to know all of that? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's good to know that. But we have a system that focuses on skills. Now, I'll give you another. You go open up any social media or any of these things. We have a lot of motivational stuff that sucks people in. We have 1, 2, 3s of, because we're trained. We're trained to memorize a sequence of events and do those in the same sequence. And we would get, voila, to a better life, to a better place, to a better job, to a better thing. Look, Everything that's out there is trying to get people into a course, an online course, offline course, something. Follow these 3 steps and you're going to be a trillionaire, or you're going to get to nirvana, or you're going to be this or that or that or that. Why? Because people are used to that and people are buying that. And they say, this is practical advice. Practical for who? Chris, you and I and the other 8 billion people on the planet are each unique. We were born in different places. We had different financial situations. We had different parents. We had different friends. We loved different people. We played with different toys. We're all different. So what is this practical for who? But that is the system. That is the system. And if you look at the AI revolution and what's coming, I am concerned. Not about AI. I'm not concerned about AI. I'm concerned about us, that we don't have the mechanism of tap into this vast, monumental, life-changing capability. You know, we can tap into any book in any place, any knowledge anywhere in the world in less than 10 seconds. But are we ready? I don't think so. I think we're so focused on this skills based, and we are reinforcing that. And now you see the media, they all blame AI this, AI that. We're going to lose our jobs. Well, who said that we have to go to work 8 to 5 o'clock and do the same damn thing? If a machine can do it, let's do it. We are afraid that we don't know what to do with ourselves because we're not trained if we don't have a system to follow. We are trained that life is like IKEA. It's like assembling a bookcase. It comes with instructions that you do A, B, C, and D, and you're there. So, and again, I'm, that's one of my passions. That's my passion project. That's what we're doing at Anabasis Academy. We're saying, let's break this paradigm. Let's, we have things that we have a wake-up call every other week, and we have a membership that's $1. And when you go to this, AIs and systems, they say this is radically different, radically transformative, because it doesn't come with me giving you 3 advice, do this and this and this. It's let's explore the dimensionality of all of our emotions, capabilities, talents, and all that sort of stuff. And I believe you, every one of us, have the capability, whether we're managing our own enterprise at home, or we're managing a startup, or we're managing IBM. Doesn't matter. The elements are exactly the same. Exactly the same. If we are aware constantly of our biases, if we're learning constantly and unlearning constantly, if we focus on being skillful, I'm not against learning skills. I want to make sure the skills that you have. If you're skillful, you'll have much bigger impact. So that's where I think, if you see, I'm circling back to this, that there is a solution, but we have to work on the solution. It's not a 1, 2, 3 thing, and that's a personal choice.
Well, okay, so that brings us back to awareness, and that was the next point that I wanted to make, anyways, because awareness is sometimes awareness gets a weird mysticism. Because you have to meditate and be aware of your body and all of those things. I think Jordan Peterson, the way that he explains awareness, I thought for me was really profound, really remarkable, and it just made sense. You want to watch yourself like a predator watches its prey. You know, watch yourself from the outside perspective and do that on a daily basis throughout your day. And if you just remove yourself from there and look at yourself as if you are the prey, you look through the eyes of a predator at yourself as if you were the prey. Then what you do is you bring that awareness in every single moment of what you're doing, and you do it in such a way that I think is not overwhelming, because I think otherwise you get overwhelmed because there's so many different versions or ways to be aware of what's going on and how you're acting. But if you just look at it from that perspective, I thought that was a wonderful way to be aware without being overwhelmed in the moment.
I think it is a good approach. With the with the possibility that I may change the prey and the chaser, if you would, because that has an element of fight in it, has an
Mm.
element of victimness in it,
Mm.
which I don't like. Now, here's what some people ask me. You know, I sit on a lot of boards, I do a lot of things, and then one of the people, well, most of the people, some of the people come to me and ask me, so how often do you meditate? And I say, I don't. "Oh, how is that possible? You're talking about this awareness, that mysticism. I said, I want to be aware all the time. It's not that for me to go in a Zen-like thing for 10 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour and be unbiased and look at myself. And you know what happens? The minute that I'm out of that mode, there is life.
Mm.
At that very moment, I am afraid that if the fire is out there, I'm afraid of things that could happen. That same very moment, all of that bullshit nonsense that I managed in a nice bookshelf. Again, that approach goes back to the way of having skills in organizing things in a way that's very well defined and we can understand it. We are trained in organizing, but our mind, who we are, and where opportunity is really in chaos.
Mm.
It's in us tangling and untangling this. Imagine a game of football, soccer. When you get in the arena, it's not all organized. It's not all the defense moves and the offense moves and everything is there. It's it could, yeah, there are some things. Those are the skills. Run from this side, pass from that side, right? All of that is there. Those are things that we can learn. But when you are in the arena, you can't wait, but you could be aware that guy is running from the left, that guy is running from the right, that guy is too big. I'm afraid he would hit me. My leg or my ankle or my knee has a pain, so I shouldn't do that. All of those are in the game. We want to solve things without being in the game.
Mm.
You know when the game is won? When you play it,
Yes.
not from the sideline. You know when you learn to swim? When you're in the water. You could read hundreds and hundreds of books. You could watch hundreds or thousands of videos of somebody swimming. Unless you swim, you're not swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I think is that art is lost.
So how do we get that back?
Mindfulness,
Mindfulness.
awareness.
So okay. So what is?
Focusing not on the now or focusing, and this is why I say we are both the art and the artist. This is why, going back to your first comment that you picked up about the next best version,
Mm-hmm.
we're not looking for perfection. And it's our choice how we look. We are the art. We are the artist. We create this, and if you don't like it, we change it. We are both. And along the way, we are the entrepreneur. I have a TED talk about this. Are you the art, the artist, or the? And along the way, we exercise our entrepreneurial ability to exchange what we have with something better. We define what is better, and we have every right to change our definition of what is better.
Mm.
You see, take a Bill Gates. Okay, he wanted all the money and this and that, and now he's philanthropic. He changed his definition of being. Take Warren Buffett. He's changed his definition of who he wants to be. But you take an Elon Musk. He hasn't changed his definition of what is better. And they're both okay. They are the art. They are the artists. They choose what is better and what is not better.
Mm.
Right?
So
how do we do that?
yeah.
Go ahead. You were going to say.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So like, as you're doing that, so we talked about the predator prey, and that I agree. Now that you put it in that light, it brings an element of fight in there, and then you're also looking at yourself as prey. So that means you're weaker than whatever. So yep, I understand that. So how do you bring that element of awareness in, or that mindfulness without the meditation that everybody else assumes that that's what you do?
Yeah. First of all, it's not like a switch that you flip and it comes. All right, there is no 1, 2, 3. Again, we're all unique. We find our own our path. The only thing is, what I call is changing your frame of reference constantly. When I look at a situation, try to put myself on the other side and look at it. Try to put it on the other side. Not just I am out, the world is in, or the world is out that I'm in. I want to be a part of the world. See, this is the thing. They say you have to be detached. That's the prey and you know and the victor. If I am detached from realities of Chris as my husband, or Chris as my boss, or Chris as my friend, if I'm detached from you, how do I know you?
Mm.
Now, we have to be attached. We have to be engaged without being subjected, without falling into that, right? So that takes looking at things from multiple directions. That takes disputing ourselves when we're doing things. People say, "How do I know I'm not an entrepreneur?" I say, "I'd like you to make it exercise for me." Here's the simplest thing you can do, Chris. I'd like you to the next time you're going to work, or let's say you're going to grocery shopping, huh? Or you're going to a restaurant. When you get out the door, think, where am I going? I can go to this grocery store, which is closer. I can go to the other one, which is cheaper. I can go to the other one, which has better meat. Or I can go to the other one, which has farm fresh vegetable. I can take this road, but there's traffic. I could take that road, but it goes by the ocean or by the sea or into the wilderness of some sort, and it's very, very nice. I can go there and I can stop and see my friend along the way. You have a million choices. So, step one, if you begin to exercise on what you do, just realize you have a choice. Realize you have a choice. And realize that that choice is related to change. You have the ability to choose. And if you go from this direction, you may be late. If you go from that direction, you have a better steak. If you go from that direction, you meet your friends. You made a choice of what you want to exchange your time, your capability with something better. You just exercise your entrepreneurial talent. Now, get used to that. Look at it every time. Every time you go there, it doesn't require an MBA. It doesn't require a systematic 1, 2, 3. There is no magic to it. Now, if you begin to see that you do have the ability, the talent of exchanging, now you begin to open up the circle a little bit, and you say, hey, when do I make better decisions? How do I know which choice is better? You realize that if you have more information, more knowledge, you will have better decisions, right? It's not rocket science. We don't need to be Einstein to figure that out. The more information, the more intelligence, the more knowledge I have around the situation, the better decision I get. Going back to the grocery store, if you knew that there was an accident down the road and it's going to take you half an hour and you're going to get stuck there, or there's construction on the road, you won't go that way. If you know that this store is closed, you won't go that way. If you know that your friend is not home for you to go and visit, you won't go that way. If you know that your friend is sick, you may go that way, although it takes longer. Depending on the information that you have, the knowledge that you have, and how do you get knowledge? From learning, from listening, from being aware. So it is the most selfish thing to do, to listen. See, the way they've changed it is they listen so that you have empathy for others. Yes, as a result of listening to you, I do have an empathy for you, for your position. But I'm not listening to have empathy. I'm listening to make a better decision, to learn. Those are two different things. It's a matter of perspective.
Right. And okay, so perspective, that's a really interesting one that is worthy of discussion that I'll come back to. So the way that I'm interacting with this, firstly, is understanding that these things are all skills, and in order to be skillful, we can practice these skills and get better and hone these skills to be more skillful. The more opportunities we see, the more.
I want to. It's you can be much better at a skill. So imagine a factory worker that assembles an engine every day for 30 years. He's pretty good at assembling an engine. But he's not skillful to apply that engine from an airplane to he's just good at that skill. It's not a matter of practicing the same thing over and over and over. That again is something that they've put in our head. That if I do, like there's a book, I forgot who wrote it. I read it. I don't remember. It's called How If You Do 10,000 Hours of Something, Then You're a Master of That Thing. You're a master of doing the same thing over and over. You're not master of innovation. You're not master of creativity. You're just good at doing this. Well, I'll tell you what. With quantum computing and AI, something that would take 48 years to master can be done in 200 seconds. So why do I need you to do this over and over and over for 10,000 hours? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
So then, okay. So let me come at this differently. If I can acquire these skills, and I know that they're skills, I can get better at them. If I continue to push the bounds outside of my comfort zone and try new things and look at it from different point of views, and then kind of go at it with like an idea or mindset of iterative testing. So I test this, how does it work? And then you move on to the next thing, but always growing and trying something different and being outside of your comfort zone so that you can be more skillful in all the areas. Yes?
Yeah,
okay.
And you're putting. So there is a. Let me add to this before you. There is a. I think Harvard Business Review did a massive study of 70 million jobs transitions that people were transitioning between. The people who had connectivity between their skills, okay, integrated skills. That's what being skillful is all about. Made more money, were more resilient at tough times. Were promoted more often. It just makes sense.
So the more skillful we are, the more money we have to be made because we can integrate those skills better.
You are integrating not just one skill. If I'm an engineer, okay, I'm an engineer, but can I put that together with my management? Can I put that together with my money management? Can I put that together with can I put that together with all the other skills that I may have at different levels? Now I have more ability to take this skill set collection and turn it into something that has a higher impact.
And with the higher
That's
impact, the higher impact is the higher money that's creating the value for the people. Yes, of course. Yep. Now, okay, so you said perspective. Perspective is something that's really interesting to me because we all have our own perspective. You talked about the individuality part of this. Having your own perspective, our perception is our reality. The way that we perceive things is the way that we live in the world. And unless our perception of our reality changes, we stay stuck inside of that comfort zone. And so comfort zone is something that is kind of interesting to me. I think about comfort zone, and I've shared this with the listeners before. Comfort zone to me is your warm bed on a cold morning. You're in your nice, warm, cozy bed. You're tucked in your covers. The alarm goes off. You hit the snooze. I want to stay nice and warm in the cover. Eventually, you chuck that thing across the room. You're not getting out of bed. But if you stay in that comfort zone, if you never move outside, if you ever put your feet on the floor and get up and go and tackle your day, then food isn't getting brought to you, or maybe food is getting brought to you. What are you going to do with all the food? Eventually, you're going to have to get up and go to the bathroom. Like, there's all sorts of negative things that will eventually happen. And then what that means is your comfort zone will shrink and shrink and shrink, and you, therefore, will shrink and shrink and become a lesser version of yourself. So we need to grow outside of our comfort zone. And I think that connects really well with what we're talking about, but also with that concept of perception, because our perception, the way we perceive things, is the way that our reality is. And unless we have something that is drastic enough, a monumental life event, or we learn that new information that has the cognitive bias that we have to learn and grow and expand in order for that perception to change, we get stuck inside of that comfort zone, not in the physical realm, but in the mental realm, because that's where we are perceiving our reality at.
So that's true. my first book, which is called The Caterpillar's Edge, the first chapter is called Addiction, Addiction to Sameness. Uh, Addiction is comforting because we get to a stage, it's reaffirming. We get to a stage, okay, it's drugs or it's alcohol or it's a behavior. And we see the routine and we feel it's reaffirming. Now, this can be at a larger scale. I use the example of in 1957, I believe, S&P 500. This is the index that they took all the best 500 companies in the world and they created the S&P 500. These are the cream of the crop, the top of the best CEOs, the best product, the best market, everything, right? Now, as of 4 or 5 years ago, I haven't looked at this recently, only 85% of those 500 were still on the S&P 500 as the best company. 85% were gone. 15% were left. What happened? They were addicted to the same behavior and they thought so we demise. Whether we are a giant company, no, those CEOs were not dumb. Those companies were not stupid. They were addicted to the success or the comfort of where they were. And they demise. So on the average, a company lives less than a human being. It can renew itself. It can get more people. It can change, shift, update, upgrade, whatever. It has different. But hey, what happens? It's that addiction of the sameness. That addiction of sameness. Now, so when we talk about the comfort zone, let's take a bird. And this is again, studies show that there are some birds that even if you open the cage door, they don't fly out. They say, hey, I have the food here. I have the water here. Somebody cleans my poop. Why do I want to go out? A, they have never tasted flight. B, they're afraid that out there may be worse than in here. Right? So their perspective or their perception, as you said, is that this is the best logical place to be. Now, again, we're exchanging what we have with something better. We think if we're in that, we think that is better. We think that is of higher value. That's why we're choosing it, because we have a power to choose. That bird has the power to choose to fly or not to fly. So, comfort zone and staying in it is a choice. Is a choice. Now, if the bird, or we knew that outside there's the joy of flight, there are mountains to go over, it's beautiful, and there's plenty of food to have, there's plenty of places to poop and have water, and nothing will happen but we're not aware of it. We're not aware of it. And we choose not to be aware of it. So the dimensions of our comfort zone has also something to do with our awareness of what is outside.
We almost have like a willful blindness. And of course, the bird, they can't see the TV, so they can't see what other birds are able to. But we as humans, we at least get to be able to see or interact with other people that are living different lives.
Yeah, we can. But you see what happens is a lot of these things, you see, I'm in my comfort zone, I'm happy, but then they show me Elon Musk and they make him the greatest thing since sliced bread, or they show me whoever, or LeBron James, or we make heroes out there that are, and then they say, do these practical things, 1, 2, 3, and you're going to be there. So I now go out there without an assessment of who I am, what I can do, what my limitations, what's my fear, what's my emotions, how do I get there? It's not a 1, 2, 3 thing. So they create these heroes. They sell these ideas of 1, 2, 3 stuff because our education drives it and promotes it. So we rather stay in the comfort zone.
Well, and I think outside of our comfort zone too is failure. And I know that you have mentioned that failure Okay, so the wounds of failure are the pathways to the next version of ourselves. But we have to be able to look at that relationship that we have with failure and be okay with that. Especially, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, but even just as somebody who wants to get to that next version of ourselves, we have to be able to change the relationship with failure that inevitably exists all outside of our comfort zone. We have to be willing to take that step to confront that failure, but do so with the idea that that failure is there to help to improve us and not to be detrimental. Zig Ziglar says that failure is an event, not a person. So we need to know that that is a persona that we wear just for a short time. And, as the Greeks wore the persona when they were on stage, we all have that persona that we're wearing lots of times. We have lots and lots of personas that are put on from other people or for ourselves. And somewhere in that layers of mask that we have, failure is there. And we had to find that one and throw it out in order to not see ourselves as a failure, to have that, to change that relationship that we have with failure.
Yeah. So you mentioned a few things. So allow me to take this in pieces. First of all, I care about using words. Words matter. They have, they convey meanings that sits in our mind. So I have a beef with saying I want to improve myself. We're not a process to be improved. Improved is about efficiency. This art is good, so is this one. I'm not improving it. I'm creating a new. That's a different view. This idea that has been built for us to constantly feel that we're incompetent and we have to improve against what? The metrics of perfection. Okay? Is improvement in a productivity sense, which I know you care about. In a productivity sense, in an hour, I produce 12 units of measure. Okay? So if I do 13, I have increased and improved the process. Now, guess what? If I kill one person in an hour, I'm not there, and then I'm going to improve myself and kill 12 people? Have I increased productivity because am I improved myself? No, that's nonsense. So we're not here to be improved. This again is one of those things that I have a beef with. So I had to say it because you used the words improve. But let's go back to the other part of what you said, which is this idea. Remind me, I forgot.
So with failure being a negative
failure.
thing,
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. So when I talk about awareness, I say activating awareness or activating mindfulness. There's a difference. There is a static thing. I'm adding a dynamic piece of it, which is activation. It is a choice for me to activate my awareness all the time. Okay? It's a car in a garage versus a car driving, if that makes sense. Right? So now, what does that mean? That means connecting how we feel, how our emotions are, and how the real life is, and what our talents are. Our talent, I'm a musician. My talent is not a part of my emotions, but I have to be aware of it. I have a lot of money or I have no money. I am tall, short, fat, in Africa, in Middle East, in top of the mountain or bottom of the hill. That is the reality of where I live. So I have to be aware of that. I have to be aware of my family, of my friends, of my capabilities, of my talents. And yes, I have to be then on the other side aware of my emotions. What's there? What's there drives how I see the world, how I commit, how I develop a courage to do that, how I take risks, and how, yes, I'm afraid. How I see failure, how I see success, how I define prosperity. All of that is a package connected thing. So when I talk about activating mindfulness, I'm saying it's a package. It's not, my fears are not separate from my reality. I have those realities, and therefore I feel, right? Failure. I wanted to build a company to make $100 million in 2 years. I did it. Was I a failure? Well, if I was naive in looking at all the parameters of my capabilities, talents, and realities, that's not a failure. That's a stupidity. Okay? So failure is also a perspective. There's a difference, I say, between failing and making a mistake. Failing attaches learning to it. That is, the opposite side of failing is learning. Now, if we don't learn, we've made a mistake twice. The first time is not a mistake. The second time is a mistake. Because we have chosen not to learn. Okay? And that's not an emotion. That's an action. That is a choice. Failure may not have been a choice. Right? Unless we're stupid and we do something to intentionally fail. Now, look at life. 60%, 50 some odd percent, over 50% of marriages fail. But people don't sit there and say, oh, I want to go marry and screw up my life. No. They put all their thoughts into it. But guess what? 50% of the time it's wrong. Did it fail? If you don't learn from it and marry 3 more times and divorce 3 more times, you're making a mistake. You didn't change your behavior, you didn't change how you approached it, you didn't change your selection criteria, you didn't change any of that. So you didn't learn anything. Okay. Now, the other thing that's connected is fear. Fear. And you hear this notion of be fearless in a lot of entrepreneurial circles. Be fearless. I would propose to you that's the stupidest thing that one man can do. I mean, the fire is next door and I should be fearless, and that shows strength. That shows absolute weakness, ignorance. Fear is an alarm system, a God-given alarm system. If I have a home and I do not have an alarm system in my home, if they break into it and I'm unaware of it, it's not that I was fearless, I was stupid. It's not the fear that's bad. Again, it's our perception of what it gives us that's bad. I like to understand what fears are out there. What are the challenges or that are approaching me? What are things that can be, and then I can plan around them by being aware of it. Right? You're not fearful of something that you don't know anything about. Right? Well, there may be some Martians that are right now injecting something. Are you fearful of it? No, we don't know what the hell it is, so we're not fearful of it. But we may fear an earthquake. We may fear a war by the, I don't know, Egyptians or the Middle Easterns or Iranians or some other entity of ours throwing something chemical. Well, yeah, that could be. Is it remote? Yeah, but it's possible. But we are generally not fearful. We're not fearful if we understand the nature of the fear. Right? And if we reduce the fear by understanding it, now we have choices, right? The change is giving us choices, and we have the control of those choices, and we can exchange what we have with something better. Okay, now if we look at that, I'm not saying that I'm not afraid of anything in the world. Sure, I am. I'm a human. Like, every one of us are afraid of things. Now, if you're afraid your wife may leave you or this employee may leave you, this employee is a critical innovation guy in your company, and you're afraid he may leave or she may leave, right? So you can stay afraid, or you can figure out, what is it? Why is it that I'm afraid? Why do I think this guy would leave? Is he so critical to my place that maybe I should bring him in? Maybe I should give him more. Maybe I should appreciate him more. If I'm afraid of my wife may leave me, or maybe I should change my behavior to alleviate that fear. And if I'm not afraid, then what the heck? I'm not afraid. Let her leave. Right? Is it my ego that gets me there? Is it my biases that gets me there? Right? So if you truly look at the world in a sense that we're not judging each other. We're not judging. But without judgment, we can't choose. There is a difference between judgmental and having judgment of choosing. Choosing requires you to put pieces of the puzzle together and you choose. And you may be wrong, right? So this is what that emotions, the fear, the fear of failure. And by the way, the fear of success is worse than fear of failure. I've seen this on a number of boards that I've been, that the guy who's running it, we're taking the company public, and he starts behaving erratically because he thinks, oh boy, what would happen if all this stuff happens? Now, who am I, and am I good enough? And they start. It's not fear. It's not just of failure. Fear is of success too.
Yeah, and I think that the fear of success to me is the fear of being able to step into that new version of you, because it's the fear of the unknown, or the perception of what the external pressures would happen if you were at that next level of yourself.
Yeah. So here's the thing: we all deserve more, but we have to position ourselves to deserve what we get. We have to position ourselves. That's mentally, structurally, in reality, we have to position ourselves. But we are born to be more.
Well, Sid, I think that's a good time to wrap this up. Thank you so much for sharing the wisdom and inspiring the listeners that I know will be inspired from this. Your insights, the leadership, your adaptability, being aware, being present, and controlling your surroundings, or having the option to control your surroundings, because we all have that choice to choose to come at those things, and we get to make that choice. And so as we're wrapping up here, I wonder, do you have any key thoughts or final takeaways that you would like to leave the listeners with? And if they wanted to find out more about you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
So I would encourage folks that are interested in transforming. They're not interested in a 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go become, a guru tomorrow morning, or doing something that, I would encourage you to come visit our very non-academic academy. There's no certificates. There's no, all that. It's called Anna Basis Academy. Anna means moving up. Basis means the base. Anabasis means moving the base up. Anabasisacademy.org. We have wake-up calls every other week that is free. They can join, and we have people from all the way from China to Mexico to all over the world that join us. And then there is a quick conversation about one topic. So, for example, we may take resilience as a topic. We may take fear as a topic. We may take listening, unlearning, learning, those pieces, and we kind of wrap it up. And then we have a Q&A, and then we have something we call a hot seat that people can get in. Some entrepreneurs come and take the hot seat, and they can apply and be on the hot seat, which is a conversation about their business and how they're doing and their mindset and all that. And we have other things. We have an expert circle where I bring people and we have conversations. Again, it's all about not what they have accomplished, but what you can accomplish, because you're unique. We have conversational collections that are very short. So there's lots and lots of stuff. One membership model is $1 forever. So we're not here to but the idea is, if they are ready to transform, ready to say, okay, I'm going to sign up to be positioned to deserve more. I'm going to sign up to learn and unlearn. I'm going to sign up to be all of these other people's learning partner, because we learn from each other. This is not where we have gurus. This is not where I don't have all the answers. We all collectively may have all the answers. You may have a perspective that may help somebody else. It's how do we dice and slice and create these changing of frame of reference that gives us that momentum. So I would encourage them to join us. I would encourage them to go visit the site, see our mission. Our mission is that if you are better, if you find your next best version, if I find my next best version, if your audience, if your neighbors, if your brother, if my sister, if we all find our better version, we're going to be in a much better world. And I think the future doesn't belong to the skilled, it belongs to the skillful. And skillfulness begins right here in our mind. Okay? And if you don't like to do that, do it on your own. Get up tomorrow morning. Realize that you have a choice. Realize that you're an entrepreneur. Realize that you can create better, and that's enough. Then I have made my impact.
And you said that was Anabasis Academy?
Anabasis.
Anabasis Academy. Okay, yeah, very good.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to have
Anabasis Academy. Yeah, anabasisacademy.org.
.org. Okay, yeah. I'll put the link to that in the show notes. And listeners, be sure to check that out. What a unique opportunity to do that for $1, and to be able to raise the base and to raise you onto that next level of yourself. And listeners, continue exploring how you can grow through challenges. Until next time, take the initiative to lead with authenticity and evolve with purpose.